I'll say this though, up front for beginners, the fastest way to get to money is to get connected with somebody else who's already connected to money.
In order to raise private capital successfully, you have to have a track record.
You have to go get that track record.
Exactly.
You have to go make that for yourself or bring in a sponsor.
So I would love to hear, one of the things that we struggled with the most is raising private capital. And I would love to, and I'm sure there's a lot of investors that listening to this podcast who are maybe actively investing in real estate, run out of money, and maybe don't want to do a syndication, but just want to learn maybe how to go about raising private capital. So I'd love to hear about how you go do that. Because that's one of your major roles as part of your company is
right.
you raise private capital. That is kind of your main focus, right?
That is my primary responsibility,
Yeah, exactly.
aside from setting the strategy, where we're buying and why.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how do you go about doing that?
So it's a difficult process. It's a never-ending process. We started kind of talking through some of that. I'll say this, though, up front, for beginners in particular, the fastest way to get to money is to get connected with somebody else who's already connected to money. Because especially if you're brand new, you're going to start talking to investors and they're going to want to know, like, what's your experience? Because now you're asking somebody for their hard-earned money,
Sure.
right? It's going to be really hard for them to imagine writing a check to somebody who's never done a deal before. But if you can say, I'm bringing in partner Kris Morin or John Doe, they've done hundreds of units and they've never, they've had some challenges, but they haven't failed, right? Like you bring that resume to the table. Now suddenly you've distracted them from the fact that you're new, and they're more likely to invest with you. Or on the flip side, that sponsor, that co-sponsor or partner that you're bringing to the table, let's imagine that was me. I've already got a network of investors. And so you can come to me and say, Kris, listen, I'm going to give you half of my ownership equity, all right, if you can help raise the capital. And then I'll do that. So, okay, I like the deal. And because you're going to allow me to oversee it and control it, then I have confidence in my ability to manage it. So I'm going to bring my investors to the table. And so you as the new investor, you have to give up some equity, but now you're getting to sit at the table with me. You're getting exposure to my investor base, and you're learning in a much lower risk environment. So it works for everybody. So I would say find somebody who can bring the money is the fastest way. But, friends and family are always going to be the first ones who are going to write you a check. That's the reality of the situation. I think too many people say, oh, my family doesn't have money. But it doesn't mean that they don't know somebody that has money, right? Everybody's a connector. So start there. Talk about what you're trying to accomplish, what the benefits are, ask for referrals. And then ultimately, the two most powerful strategies, and obviously social media is one of them. And this is the biggest hurdle for people to get over, but it's not even a challenge. Like you could pull out your phone and record something stupid and post it right now, right? There's no barrier to entry to do that. But like people in their heads, it's this insurmountable hurdle to put themselves out there and say, I'm 100%. Trying to raise money for real estate. And so it's a foolish thing. It's our own concoction, right? But I think people need to go online, talk about what they're doing, go analyze deals, video it. After they analyze the deal, make an offer, talk about why it didn't work, why the deal was broken. What about it, right? Wasn't going to work, and why'd you turn it down? And folks will start to see, they'll gain exposure to your expertise. They'll see you say no to more deals than you say yes to. They'll get a sense that you're really trying to do this. You're a steward of this business, right? And so I think over time, without talking to folks, you're actually building trust and credibility. And so when you do approach them, they're more likely to invest with you. Or I get a lot of folks who just message me on Facebook and say, listen, I've been following you for a while. And I'll be like, really? I've never seen your name pop up you've never liked a single thing I put out there, but people are watching. So get out there, tell your story, showcase the hardships. You don't need to have deals to attract, to do money. Like I said, you can talk about all the deals you're making offers on. It's the same process.
So good.
And then you want to get into more advanced tactics. We were talking just before when I walked in here, I'm spending a lot of time going to charity dinners, and, there's entry fees to get into that kind of stuff. But the people sitting at the table around me, they're all very high net worth individuals. So now I'm having conversations. People naturally say to me, hey, what do you do? And I say, I own a boutique private equity company. We specialize in multifamily real estate. And these are the types of people they work with. Everybody at that table wants my business card, but I don't think you can start there, but it's just something you can build up to.
Not to get too granular on this, but like just to add some comfort to people that might actually want to invest with any one of us. But when you're talking to people, and let's just say I'm in for $100,000, are we stroking a check to Kris Morin, or like how does that really logistically, like, is this going to your account? Is it going to your attorney escrow account? Like, what does that look like?
So it is going into an escrow. It's usually an account that's established specifically for the entity. So like we would set up an asset LLC that we know is going to own. So let's just imagine it's ABC Apartments. We would set up, I'm making it up, ABC Asset LLC, and there's bank accounts associated with it. And there's a platform, it's federally regulated platform where these syndication investors basically create an account, they wire their money in, that's how they get their distributions and their reports. It's all through a platform that we manage. But they essentially are setting up an account and wiring their money into a bank account in that LLC. And again, it's all regulated, it's all watched. But you're not stroking a check to Kris Morin in a direct sense, but you are making it out to the LLC. And then in the event that for some reason we had a deal in, halfway through to closing, we actually ended up walking away. We discovered some things. We ended up having to say, oh, we're not going to do this deal. And we had investors that had wired in maybe $500,000 at that point. We just returned the money. Nobody loses any money. We just return the money.
Well, yeah, makes sense. I think one of the, especially newer investors, I think they don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And I get this question a lot, and I'm sure you do too, is, I do you know anyone that is able to lend me money, private capital? And I'm like, well, how many deals have you done? They're like, well, none yet, but I have a really good deal. I'm like, and it's like, I have worked so hard, and you have too, worked so hard to build your own kind of resume and build your own portfolio. And it took me so long to build these relationships and show proof of concept and prove myself, where I honestly, like, I can't give you my guy. I'm sorry. Like, yeah. If I give you my guy, he trusts me. And now I don't know what you've done before. So in order to raise private capital successfully, you have to have a track record. You have to have a resume. And I think, in order to do that successfully, you just can't borrow money from anyone unless you have a sponsor of some sort. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of like have a hard time getting over. Yeah. Is you just do it yourself first, figure it out, and then you can go start raising private capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get asked that literally. I'm no joke. I don't know, maybe 10 times a day.
Really?
Yeah, because I do a lot of lending.
And you don't give it yet. You don't give it out.
No, I appreciate your hustle. I really do. But like, you have to have, like, exactly what you said. Like, we have relationships with people that were built on the track record that we built. And so, like, you have to go get that track record.
Exactly.
You have to go make that for yourself or bring in a sponsor. That 2 ways.
Yep.
Make it happen.
Thank you so much for listening to Sky's the Limit podcast. We're always releasing new content, so if there's something you want to hear, be sure to comment below. And don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And just remember, sky's the limit, dive deep, and invest in how you want to live.